The Garden Report is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey, Bobby Manning here, Noa Dalzell from Washington, D.C., where the Celtics moved to 2-1 in NBA Cup play, beating the Wizards by 12 here, and that's, of course, important with the point differential in their pack group, becoming all the more important here. Celtics would have been done in this Cup tournament after that loss to Atlanta if they lost this one, and they nearly did, trailing early, ended up trailing by 11 at one point in this game before a 13-0 run made it close, and Celtics ended up pulling away late in this one. So, no, I didn't catch the final sequence there. I guess the Wizards were following them.
It was so weird.
Yeah, and that allowed the Celtics to go in this big run at the end of the game. They were probably only going to win this by like 4 or 5 points, and then ended up winning by 12. What happened there?
Yeah, so they were fouling every possession down for the last minute, including when the Celtics were up by... Yeah, the Wizards were down by 9 with 11 seconds to go, and they were fouling. I was like, what is this? But it did help them pad their point differential because it was it was a couple of digit differential, and then it ended up being a 12 point outcome, which is what they wanted. And then I think when they started doing that, it kind of clicked for Joe. Okay, we're gonna play this game. Let's try to maximize the point differential. And so he called a timeout with 5 seconds to play to try to get them a basket. And so it was definitely a priority down the stretch. I don't think that it was governing the way that they were thinking about the game throughout, but in part because they couldn't really afford to, because they were losing for a lot of the game. It wasn't that they were up by 10, 15 and they were thinking about let's keep the pedal on. So it came into play right towards the end there.
Yeah, and they had to go to smaller lineups before that when the game was still in play. Tillman moved to center. Then the Wizards took their centers off the floor, so that allowed the Celtics to go with the Tatum-Hauser look at the 4 and the 5 there. So it's still a game up until that point, and then once the fouling starts is where the Celtics could pull away here. Did call back to the Bulls game a year ago where it was the final night, and again, it's going to be the Bulls in this final game for the Celtics here. They're 2-1 in group play. Cavs still have to play a couple of games. They only have one loss to Boston, so that's the key tiebreaker that the Celtics have is the win over them. Hawks, of course, have the tiebreaker over Boston, having beat them here. But then it comes down to the point differential for that wild card spot, which was only one in each conference. Celtics, I think, now are 14. Cavs are right around 15-2 here. Hawks took a step back. So with a loss tonight, I think to Chicago by a pretty decent amount. So Celtics going to play Chicago in Chicago next Friday, and all they can really do...
Massive NBA Cup game.
Massive. And all they can really do is win, of course, first. Loss pretty much knocks you out. And win by a lot. And so it's going to be pretty funny that a year after that Donovan-Drummond incident, Drummond's obviously not there anymore, Celtics are going to have to try to run it up in this game to give themselves the best chance of making this cup. And they seem to want to make it.
Yeah, I think they do want to make it. I think it's one of those things where they almost forget they care about it. Early on when we were asking them about it, the first game obviously came out super flat versus Atlanta. But then once you're in it, it's you're in the competition. I'm not a big game person, but if I'm playing a board game and I've been playing for 20 minutes, now I want to win because I've invested the time. I think they kind of have that mentality of the deeper they get into it in pool play, suddenly they realize they're right there. It might come down to a couple of baskets on Friday. And Al Horford's talked about it. Drew mentioned it. I think players were bummed that it didn't work out last year and that it wasn't a huge turning point, but that it was somewhat of okay, this was something of consequence and we lost to Indiana, let's be better. And so I don't think it's going to be an end-all be-all if they don't make this tournament, if they don't go to Vegas. I don't think anybody's going to be freaking out about it, but they want it. I do think they do.
Yeah, here's Drew talking about them missing out. They obviously lost to Indiana in the first round of the tournament last year and missed Vegas. Some regret on their side looking back on it.
I mean, I think we definitely thought we were going to Vegas last year. Everybody had packed and set, and I had the intent of going to Vegas, but I think we were a little disappointed that we didn't make it, and that could have helped us throughout the year just motivationally. But it could also help us this year.
So yeah, there's money on the line. Coaches get money too. There's an allotment for the team if they end up winning this thing. So I think there's incentive for guys obviously lower on the roster there. They want to get it done for those guys. So I think that's part of it too. But you're right. You get caught up in it. There's a game like this. The games feel better to me, whether it's because of the cup or some other reason. I was here earlier this fall, and it wasn't like it was tonight. There was a better atmosphere. You had Celtics fans. You had some Wizards fans going back and forth on those runs. So the games just felt, even the Atlanta one where Atlanta comes in and upsets the Celtics, big game, big environment, and a stunning outcome, and a swing game for the Hawks there. So I really enjoy this thing. I know you're not as high on it.
I want to be. I don't want to be a hater of something new and innovative and fun, but I didn't really even realize that
today was a
cup
Do you care if they
game.
make Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I want them to make it. I'm not overly concerned about it, but yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to see just play more meaningful basketball. It's going to be a long time until they play really meaningful basketball, if not for Vegas. So it'd be fun.
Yeah, and I like this court behind us here too. I think this is my favorite one I've seen so far. The pink. Yeah, it's a good look to me. We saw awful looking Nuggets one tonight on the TV. And the Celtics I'm not crazy about either.
I like the Celtics a lot better than this thing.
Well, let us know what you think about the cup below. Of course, Celtics built up their point differential tonight, which was important. It didn't look like it was going to be an opportunity for them to do that, but that's the unpredictability of the NBA Cup, I guess. They play their final game of this thing in Chicago on their red court, which is not a great look, in Chicago Friday. So we'll have remote coverage of that and what the fate ends up being for the Celtics and the whole mix of tiebreakers and everything else going on there. Cavs have 2 games left to play against the Raptors, as well as the Bulls and Hawks, I think. And then the Hawks, their outcome's going to be important there too. So stay tuned. We'll have all the coverage and tiebreakers and stuff sorted out here on CLNS Media. And we'll be back in Boston for a real game, a regular game, but a big one nonetheless between the Timberwolves and the Celtics, who played some great games last year. That's it. Sunday afternoon, 3:30 to start. Celtics starting the front end of a back-to-back. So Horford's going to miss one of those two. He missed this one. And I'd have to imagine he'll play in that Minnesota game if he's good to come back. So Celtics win without him. Stay alive in this cup race. For Noa Dalzell, I'm Buddy Manning. Check out Prize Picks. Use that code CLNS over there for a bonus when you play your first lineup. Check out the Game Time app. You want to see some tickets and what the options are for going on Sunday. I definitely recommend that game if you're going to go to a Celtics game this year. Go check it out. CLNS gets you $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And check out Built. Go to Built and check out all the great rewards they're offering when you pay your rent right now. Go check them out. And for Noa Dalzell, I'm Buddy Manning. This has been the Garden Report here from Washington, D.C. Check out all our coverage, White House and everything in between from the couple of days we spent out here on CLNS Media and Celtics All Access, and we'll see you back in Boston. Hey, Buddy Manning here. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed this video, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out our social media platforms at Celtics CLNS.